Everybody. Just for those of you who are watching today, if you do want to ask us a question, then you can use the live chat in the right-hand corner of the screen, or edge of the screen, to ask us your question. But actually, we've got a ton of questions in already from people who've sent them in advance. So I'll just kick off with some of the questions that we've already sent. So let's start with the number one question. Is really, which career path should I take? So academic or industry, and how do I decide? So is that something that one of you can pick to start off? Perhaps Katie, you could advise us on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off with that one. I mean, it is such a difficult decision, and one that all researchers come across again and again in their career, not just necessarily at one fixed point. So I think there are a few things that you could do to try to get as much information as you can before you make that decision. For example, you could look into job shadowing or placements or work experience in areas that interest you. You could, in particular, review the knowledge, competencies and experience that you've already gained through your research. And also think about your personal strengths, your personal values and your motivations, because different kinds of work settings will match or not match your values so well. And to be happy at work, it really needs to be a personal fit as well as a professional fit, I think. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an either or decision. You know, there are ways to combine an academic career with non-academic elements. For example, doing consultancy in either direction, or building a portfolio career. So yeah, it's a difficult decision, but put your research hat on, really, and do your research.
Yeah, that's a very nice tip. Well, maybe Pablo, you could just give us a bit of an insight into your own thinking and how you kind of decided and made that decision yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So I think one important thing to consider is what you kind of already pointed at before, is that it's not really a decision that you sort of take on one day and then your path is you have a sure path that you're going to follow. So it's more like a set of decisions, and for me it was also a lot of try and error. So I think it's hard to say what type of career is right for you in advance, like just on a theoretical level. So my advice would be really to try things out and see for yourself which types of jobs suit you and which don't. And I mean, also, of course, it's important to get as many informations as you can. I mean, for instance, so for me, the transition phase was really, really difficult as well, especially landing that first job and the first 2 years, because I felt I wasn't really in a good place. So, but it was a lot of try and error. And one thing I did at one point was seek counseling or training.
Okay.
That's something that a lot of universities offer now, I guess. I mean, there's career centers, and sometimes it helps to get like an outsider's perspective. And then I'd also just ask a lot of people I know, like people from different backgrounds, you know, friends, talk to them about what they do. So you can make an informed decision. And then don't think that once you start a job you're going to be stuck there forever, right? Because there's always like a way back, or you can always switch jobs. That's how the job market works nowadays.
Yeah, I think there was some really good advice from the recent online conference Beyond the Professoriate. Where they were saying like your first job after academia is not your last job. And I thought that's really great advice. You know, often the first job that you take is a kind of maybe more of a transition job, and it doesn't mean it's you're going to be in that job forever. So that's really nice. Anyone else want to come in on that particular question?
Yeah, Chris, if I could just pitch in. So I had the opportunity to talk to Jan McCuff from Vitae last year. And it was very surprising to hear that there is a trend now that okay, you have your standard question that is industry or academia, but there are a lot of other opportunities like entrepreneurship or policy making, getting into a research funding body. So I think it's important that you become a little proactive and start talking to people to find out what opportunities or options are out there, rather than the black and white of industry or academia.
Yeah, no, that's a really nice piece of advice actually, because it's so it's not an either or choice.
Yeah.
And maybe reflecting a little bit back on what people have said, it's what suits you and what fits your particular circumstances, your aspirations. And really be clear that entrepreneurship. I think I'm really seeing that amongst PhDs and researchers. More and more people are feeling confident to sort of start their own business and sort of set up on their own. So, okay. Lee, did you want to just come in on that one?
Yeah, I think I'd add to definitely the using your network is definitely an important aspect. And, think about people who studied something similar to yourself. What have they gone on to do? And speak to those alumni. I think there are plenty of opportunities to meet companies as well. The likes of most universities will run career fairs. I'd say go to those career fairs, prepare yourself before, ask relevant questions to different companies you're interested in, read about those companies, and then go to company presentations, and really get one-on-one with the company representatives. Then you can really get an impression of if that's going to be you, that's going to be your future career. And there will be people there with a similar background to yourself. Ask them as many questions as you can, really get their personal impression as to why they made the move from academia to industry, or obviously vice versa, some have switched back as well. So really use the network and use the opportunities available to you.
Right, fantastic. Okay, well, I think that really sets the scene for people who maybe haven't thought so much about this so far, but that kind of sets the scene.